Randall.
Inspector Large and his sergeant come up in the lift, and Inspector Large says,
Someone had a shot.
Someone heard a shot. Now, hang on a minute, this guy was shot in Jeff's flat the night before, so why has it taken Speedy Large so long to respond and then to go to the Atlantic Hotel? Just a thought.
Sober as a judge. Marvellous. Listen, Calvin. There's a lovely big bottle of whiskey sitting in...
Last little minor error is when Bream's waiting in Jeff's office and Marty is trying to get him to look to his left, to the drinks cabinet.
Come on, Calvin.
But when the cabinet door opens and the camera is looking out from inside, the cabinet has moved to in front of the desk with Bream looking straight at it.
Come on, Calvin. Stop thinking about it.
Most definitely looking to his left.
There it is, Calvin.
Most definitely looking straight ahead. The cabinet has moved.
Take the cork out. You're away, Calvin. A full bottle.
Somebody Just Walked Over My Grave is pure Randall and Hopkirk magic with regards to excellent locations in the shape of Nebworth House and New Southgate Cemetery, and of course the high quality acting and repartee between the main characters. I've always assumed that this episode was shot shortly after Mike Pratt's accident when he broke his legs, because he seems to spend a lot of this episode sitting down. And also, when the camera's behind him, it's not him, if you see what I mean. More about that shortly. First major continuity error is when Jeff and Marty visit his grave and the flowers that Jeff is putting in the pot magically change from what look like carnations to roses. I'm assuming the continuity artist was a woman, because that was well bad, innit?
Oh, come on, Jeff. Forget it. It doesn't matter.
It does matter, Marty. That was terrible. As I said just now, a lot of the time you can see that there is clearly a double standing or sitting in for Mike Pratt in this episode, and that is clearly seen here when Jeff and Marty are down in the culvert.
What, on my own?
Well, at least you don't have to walk the whole length, do you?
As Jeff walks away from Marty and towards the camera, you can clearly see that the actor's face is too thin to be Mike Pratt.
Jeff.
Definitely not our Mike. The last little observation I made is when Leonard Dighton is being hassled by the flea-bitten mutt. When the camera's in front, you can see he's holding just the ransom letter in one hand, whilst the other hand is empty. But as the camera moves behind him, he seems to be holding a stick or something in his right hand. Moving on, we come to Could You Recognise the Man Again? Or as it says on DVD boxes quite regularly, Could You Recognise That Man Again? Silly people. I can only spot one little slip in this episode, and again I realise it's down to part of the scene being shot at an outside location and then moving on to an interior set, which accounts for some of the slip-ups that we've already looked at. However, here it is. When Jeff pulls up outside the Rodens lock-up, the area outside is fairly open. But when he comes in through the door, the Vauxhall Victor is seen parked up against a wall. Incidentally, the actress Madge Ryan, who played Old Mother Roden, also played a main part in the Cliff Richard musical Summer Holiday, but I expect you already knew that. What you may not have known is that Norman Eshley, who played Mike Hales, was once married to Millicent Martin, who was in TW3, or if you prefer it, That Was the Week That Was, alongside Kenneth Cope. We bypass the two episodes that without doubt get the most negative reviews with most fans, A Sentimental Journey and Money to Burn, because I couldn't spot any errors in either of them. We move instead to the one episode that allows us to see Marty in action as a living mortal, The Ghost Talks. As most fans will know, this episode was completely rewritten and changed so that Marty got the lead role, with Jeff playing the minor role, as Mike Pratt had carelessly broken his legs. We start here in the office and see just a small slip as Marty bends down to talk to Jeannie, who's sitting. He stands up in order for Jeannie to kiss him, and when the camera changes, he's leaning again.
Good. That's the test. Not many people do, you know. Not these days.
Yes, I've got some references.
We've checked. This is top secret. Can't be too careful. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know whether I'm seeing things, but have a look at this and tell me if you think that Major Brennan's cigar grows. Have a look. Is that suddenly bigger? Last little error, and the worst as far as continuity goes, is when Marty is being escorted from the dry heat room by the bad guys, and the guy to his rear right twists Marty's arm up his back, but when they pass through the door, he's suddenly a couple of steps back and he's holding a gun.
You look warm, Hopkirk.
Here you go, have a look at it in slow motion. Full contact with the arm twisted up the back, crossed over the threshold of the door. Oh! 2 steps back and a gun. Amateur. Next up is the trouble with women. Well, there's a statement that could open up an endless discussion. Quite frankly, the list is so long that we'd be discussing it until the end of the world.
That's why I came to you. The man who was killed, I think, was mistaken for my husband.
Better not go down that road, had we, lads? We don't want to upset the ladies. Anyway, on to the error, and it's here as Jeannie is coming back from the cafe with the 2 cups of coffee that Jeff requested, and we notice that she's carrying 2 white polystyrene cups and possibly a cake as well. Note the 2 white polystyrene cups. There you go, check out the colour one last time before she gets upstairs to the office. So, Jeff has said goodbye to the lovely Mrs. Lang, and then, of course, inevitably, Marty appears.
Rubbish, did you?
Oh, you were listening, were you?
I caught most of it, and I'll tell you one thing. Her aura is all wrong.
Well, it looked all right to me.
You can't see it.
Can you?
No,
Huh.
but I've got my intuition. And that lady's story has got the wrong feel about it.
Well, from where I'm sitting, it feels just...
Here comes Jeannie. Now, check out the cups.
Who's that I passed in the corridor?
Ha! I don't think so. Pink? They weren't pink, were they?
Good heavens, what did you do, rob a bank?
Vendetta for a Dead Man next, featuring 2 fabulous actors in the shape of Timothy West, still going strong, as Sammy Grimes, and George Sewell, who sadly signed up for his white suit back in 2007 as the evil Eric Jansen. 3 little slip-ups in this episode, starting with this scene in which Jeff and Marty are chasing Sam. Sam checks his rear view mirror and realises he's being followed, but there's something here that's not quite right. Can you spot what's wrong? Yes, that's right. Jeff's number plate should read in reverse, and it's the right way round. How does that work then?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't you?
Well, I'll fill you in.
Secondly, during the fight between Jeff and Sam back in his office, we get a very clear view of the stuntmen doubles. Definitely not Mike Pratt. And it looks like Timothy West has had a head transplant as well. And the last little faux pas from this particular episode is one that we've all spotted at one time or another, and that's of course when Marty's Mini gets a stunt double. The yellow spotlight disappears from the front and the registration changes from 754 PLP, or possibly FLP, to the good old BAP 245B. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and it's time for You Can Always Find a Fall Guy. I used to regularly wonder why it was that when the camera swept around Jeff's flat, why we couldn't see Miss Holiday sitting there. And then I realised that the object preventing us from seeing her is the lid of Jeff's record player.
Get ready, Jeff.
There's another fine example of the stuntmen suddenly jumping in for the actors here in Yateman's office. It's quite funny when you can pause the action and see just how unlike the main actors these stunt doubles are. Take a look at the guy sitting in for Yateman and have a look at the guy standing next to Jeff, standing in for Edwards. Here we get another chance to have a glimpse at the guy that doubles for Mike Pratt. Very dark-skinned fellow, and he's definitely not Harry Fielder. So, Vanessa, who is he?
The man who had Douglas Kershaw's...
Back in Yateman's office a bit later, and something is moving that catches the eye. Yes, I do believe that's the shadow from an overhead microphone just above